Liam could afford anything. He owned 2 tech startups, had a lakefront house, a luxury car collection, and investments in 3 different countries. But what he didn't have, what continued to slip through his fingers, was love. Not the kind that came with perfect smiles and cocktail dresses. It's not the ones that lit up only when the camera turned on. Liam had dated models, influencers, even a CEO's daughter. But they all shared one thing in common. They were in love with what he had, not who he was. So one morning, while watching a documentary about people finding real love under disguise, Liam made a decision. He would pretend to be poor, not broke. Not desperate, but simple, unimpressive. A man with an old pickup truck, a 1-bedroom rental, and a job fixing electronics. And he would see who stayed. Liam moved into a modest apartment on the outskirts of town. He bought a rusty old Toyota, shaved off his usual clean stubble, wore secondhand jeans, and dusted off a flannel jacket he hadn't worn in years. He used his middle name. Leon picked up a part-time job at a repair shop. He didn't lie about his intelligence or ambition, just the scale of his success. He brought lunch in a brown paper bag, rode the bus sometimes, and carried himself like a man just getting by. And that's when he met Vanessa. Vanessa worked at a coffee shop down the street from the repair store. She was sharp, witty, and had a laugh that made strangers smile. She was beautiful, but not in a polished magazine cover way. She had this realness to her: messy bun, paint-splattered jeans, eyes that noticed everything. Liam came in for coffee and left with curiosity. That first conversation happened over spilled cream. "Sorry," Liam said, dabbing his jacket. Vanessa laughed. "It's not coffee until it stains something." He liked her instantly. He started visiting more often, brought small talk, then longer talk. Then lunch breaks spent sitting across from her. As she told him about her art, her dreams, her struggles working 2 jobs to pay rent, she asked about him. "I fix things," he said. "Phones, laptops, sometimes people's bad attitudes." She laughed every time, and slowly, something grew. 3 weeks in, Liam invited her out for dinner. Not expensive. It's just a quiet diner with booths and milkshakes. She arrived wearing a secondhand jacket and nervous energy. "I don't date much," she confessed. "I don't blame you," Liam said. "Dating can feel like interviewing for a job." The evening was perfect until she asked, "So, what's your plan?" He hesitated. "I'm saving up. Maybe open a small shop of my own someday." Her smile tightened. She didn't say much after that. Just nodded, eyes flicking toward the bill when it came. Liam paid in cash. She kissed him on the cheek that night, but her eyes were no longer as warm. Over the next 2 weeks, Vanessa grew distant. Texts got shorter. Replies came slower. She still smiled when they spoke, but the spark dimmed. One afternoon, Liam saw her through the shop window. She was talking to a man in a suit. Tall, flashy watch, convertible. She laughed. The same laugh Liam had once felt proud to earn. Later, that evening, he asked gently, "Met someone?" She paused. "I've just been rethinking some things." Liam nodded. He knew what that meant. A few days later, Vanessa invited him to the coffee shop after closing. He hoped it was to clear the air instead. "Kate, it was to end things." "You're great, Eli. Really," she began, "but I need someone who's going somewhere." Liam kept a straight face. "You said you were saving up," she continued. "That you want to shop someday, but I've dated guys with some days. I'm looking for stability. You understand, right?" He nodded once. "Of course." She hugged him gently, quickly, then walked away, and just like that, Vanessa was gone. 3 weeks later, Liam returned to his penthouse. He shaved, put on a tailored suit, picked up the keys to his Bentley, and scheduled a fundraiser gala one his companies hosted every year. The theme this time: community builders, artists, coffee shop owners, everyday dreamers. He added a name to the guest list: Vanessa Blake. She almost didn't come. She stood near the door in a borrowed dress, looking uncomfortable and curious. Until she saw him. Liam. But he didn't wear a flannel jacket anymore. He stood under a chandelier, shaking hands with city leaders, laughing with CEOs. She approached slowly. Eli, he turned. Actually, it's Liam. Her eyes widened. You're he, smiled. The guy who fixes things. Sometimes broken people too. Vanessa froze, stunned. The room seemed to melt away around her as Liam, or rather Eli, the man she thought she knew, stood in tailored black, shaking hands with people whose names echoed through boardrooms and city halls. You lied to me, she said softly still. Processing. I never lied, Liam replied calmly. I just didn't tell you everything. I wanted to know if someone could love me for who I am, not for what I own. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. All the details she'd ignored came rushing back: the brown bag lunches, the quiet humility, the old truck that ran too smoothly for a true clunker. It wasn't that she'd missed the signs. It was that she didn't care to look. I thought you were a repair guy, she said. I am, he replied. I just also happen to run to companies that help people repair their lives. Vanessa followed him onto the balcony, away from the crowd. The city lights flickered below. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her voice almost a whisper. I was wrong. He said nothing. I got scared, she added. I've been used before. I've dated dreamers who never did anything. I didn't think you were real. He turned to face her. You weren't wrong to want stability, Vanessa. But you judged a book before even finishing the first chapter. Her eyes welled up. Do you think we could start over? He looked at her, quiet, calm, measured. But his answer came with a softness that still carried. Wait, I don't think so. A few weeks passed. Liam went back to his companies, his quiet routines, his weekend drives by the lake, and then he met Jasmine. They bumped into each other at a bookstore. She was arguing with a self-checkout screen. He helped her out. She thanked him and offered to buy him a coffee for the trouble. He said yes. She didn't recognize him, didn't Google him, didn't ask what he drove or where he lived. She talked about books, plants, and how her dream was to open a book cafe. He asked what was stopping her. I'm working 2 jobs, she shrugged, but I'm saving up one day. He smiled. One day is closer than you think. They started seeing each other. No tests this time, no disguises, just honesty. When she finally learned who he really was, she didn't flinch. You're still the guy who helps confused people at bookstores, she said. That's all I need to know. Vanessa watched Liam and Jasmine from across the street. One afternoon, they were at a farmer's market holding hands, laughing over pastries. She could have walked over, could have said hello, but she didn't. She had already learned her lesson. Not all that glitters is gold. And not all gold glitters from the start. She walked away quietly, remembering how it felt to let something real slip through her fingers. Liam once said he wanted someone who loved him for who he was, not what he had. Now he knew the difference. He no longer needed to pretend to be poor. He no longer needed to test anyone. Because real love doesn't require trials, it reveals itself in the ordinary. In the small moments, in how someone treats you when there's nothing shiny in sight, and when you find someone who sees your value when no one else does, you build a life worth everything.